Good morning, everyone. Am I audible? I hope the screen is also visible. So welcome, everyone, to the AWS Solutions Architect training. My name is Nikat Naz Ansari, and I am the AWS authorized instructor and 3 times AWS certified for Solutions Architect associate level, professional level, and cloud practitioner level. So these are the details of the course. So if you want to get the course content, scan this code, and if you want to register yourself, scan the code on the left. Then these are the details for the support. So you can call on these numbers, or you can send them email on support@logiclabstech.com. So let us start our today's session. So this is the course content. We have covered yesterday cloud computing, advantages to cloud, advantages of AWS deployment models. Now we will be talking about AWS services and AWS global infrastructure. And then I'll be telling you how to create your free tier account. Because if you want to work on AWS, if you want to practice, and if you want to do hands-on, then this account is mandatory. Without this account, you cannot practically implement the concepts that I'm going to tell you. I hope this is clear. So let us start our next topic. So these are the topics that I have covered yesterday. What is cloud computing? Then advantages of computing, trade capital expense for variable expense, massive economies of scale, stop guessing capacity, cost optimization. Here you don't have to run and maintain your own data centers. You don't have to wait for the resources. The resources are delivered to you within minutes. And go global in minutes. That you can connect to any data center around the world within minutes. And then I talked about cloud deployment models. You have public cloud or simply cloud, then your on-premises or private cloud, and when you are using both, it is the hybrid cloud. Let us talk about service model. So what are these service models? We have infrastructure as service, platform as a service, and software as a service. Now, what are these models? Let us discuss. So here you have two types of deployment we will be talking about. You have your on-site, or you call it as on-premises, or your private cloud. Means you are running your own data center. So this is your own data center. You are purchasing the servers and all the hardware facility. You are maintaining your own data center yourself. Since you are the owner, So you have to manage everything from the networking, storage, servers, because all these things are the hardwares. Then you have to think about virtualization. If you want to run virtual machines in your own data center, then virtualization is your responsibility. You have to install virtualization layer, that is the hypervisor. So it is your responsibility how you are doing this virtualization. Then the operating system installation on virtual machines, any middleware that you are using, runtime. For example, if you want to develop an application using Python, so if you are installing Python 3.11, then this becomes your runtime. If you are working on Java, then installing Java, that is your runtime. Then data, because if you are writing any application, then that application is taking your input and providing you the output. So if you are storing the data online, if you are giving the data as an input to an application to process it, then the responsibility, the security of data, the management of the data is the responsibility of the owner of the data center, which is the customer. And here the applications running on your data center, again, if you want to scale those applications, if you want to take the backup of the data, if you want to use the load balancer on these applications, then it is the responsibility of the owner of the data center. So now, if you are the owner, then you have to manage all these things. It is your responsibility. If you are running your own data center, it is about private cloud or on-premises data centers. Is this part clear? Is this part clear? Thank you, Praveen. Now, these are the public cloud or simple the cloud services, that how cloud is providing us the services, right? So let us talk about first deployment model. It is infrastructure as service. So here the hardware part, the infrastructure part is taken on rent from cloud service provider. So in our case, it is AWS, or you can have Azure, GCP. So the cloud service provider are owning the hardware. So the data centers is owned by AWS, and we are taking these resources on rent. So we are taking the infrastructure. So this is nothing but the infrastructure. Your networking devices, storage devices, servers, and then on the servers, virtualization layer. So the data center, the hardware component belongs to the company. So when these hardware belongs to the company, these things is provided to us by AWS, then the responsibility of management is of AWS. We don't have to think about hardware servers. We don't have to think about the storage drives. No, because it is the responsibility of the AWS. We are using these resources. Now, on this, if we are, suppose if I'm getting a virtual machine. So virtual machine is running on some hardware, on some host, and where this hardware running, this hardware is running in AWS data center. This hardware is running in AWS data center. And here, this virtual machine is running on this hardware. So the responsibility of this host is of the company. And when I am using this virtual machine, it is like the normal computer for me, but in the form of software. So the operating system installation on it, updation, patching, then installation of any runtime, for example, Python, Node.js, C Sharp, C, C++, etc. So installation of any runtime. The data, the file that you are storing on this, the data that you are storing on this virtual machine, and any application that is running here. Suppose if you are running a database application, if you are running a web application, if you're running a gaming application on this virtual machine, then it is your responsibility. Now, whatever you are doing on this virtual machine, it is your responsibility. So it is the responsibility of the customer, and the host, the hardware responsibility is of the AWS. So here customer has more control On the software part, on the layer above the hypervisor, above the virtualization layer, the customer has more control. So the blue color is the responsibility of the customer and the red color is the responsibility of the company, the cloud service provider. So you have more control over cloud resources in infrastructure as service. Then we have platform as a service. What is platform? So what is platform? So in platform, what we are doing here, we are taking the infrastructure from the company. So this is the infrastructure, the hardware part, along with the virtualization layer. So this we are taking from the company, plus we are taking the runtime, the platform from the company. So this is the platform. So platform is nothing but it is the runtime which you are using to develop your application. For example, if you want to write an application in Python and you are working on an IDE, integrated development environment. So that integrated development environment becomes your platform because it is providing you the platform to write your code and to develop your application. So that becomes your platform. So with this IDE, you are getting a debugger, you are getting runtime of any language that you are using. You are getting input editor, you are getting output console. So you are getting all the things here to develop your application. So it becomes the platform for you. So now this platform you are getting from the company, from the AWS. You are not installing anything on the virtual machine. You are getting all the things pre-installed. So now the AWS responsibility is more, and the customer responsibility is to take care of its data and application. So whatever data you are storing on this type of infrastructure plus data, because data belongs to the customer. So the responsibility or security of the data is the responsibility of the customer. So now we have to focus on our data and applications running on the system. We don't have to worry about the installation, about the patching of the software, updation of the software, taking the backup, scaling. We don't have to worry about this. We have to focus only on our application and data that we are running on these type of infrastructure. So can you see here that in infrastructure as service and platform as a service, so the customer responsibility is decreasing when you are moving from infrastructure to platform. So out of these two, which one is having, in which service model the customer is having more control over the resources? The customer is having more control over the resources, infrastructure or platform. So where is the blue color part covering more area? Yes, infrastructure as service. And platform as service, you are getting the infrastructure plus the platform. You need to focus only on your application and data. Then software as a service, you are getting the infrastructure, the runtime plus the application. So it is software as a service. For example, if I talk about Gmail, so the servers where your mails are stored, this is belonging to Google, right? Then this is belonging to the company. Then the runtime to write your mail, to send your mail using SMTP protocol, so and so. Again, this is given to us by the company. And the application, we are not developing our application of the Gmail. We are instead downloading and installing that application. So application is already there. We are installing it on our mobile phone. So this is the application that is belonging to the customer, that is belonging to the cloud service provider as well. So here we don't have any responsibility, just we have the responsibility of our data, because data is security is the shared responsibility. So we are using all the things from the company and we are only responsible for our data. Now you can see that customer is having least control over the cloud resources over software as a service. Now let me explain you this topic with the help of a simple example. Suppose I want to bake a pizza. So I want to bake a pizza. So I have three options. I have four options. If I'm baking the pizza at home, so I'm using my own kitchen. That is the infrastructure, utensils, and all these things. Then I'm using my own platform, that is oven. So oven is my platform which I'm using to bake my pizza. The ingredients, the sauces, toppings, dough, everything, utensils, everything is belonging to me. So I am using my own kitchen. So I have the complete control over my kitchen. So this becomes your on-premises or your private cloud. Yes, this becomes on-premises on my private cloud, because kitchen is also mine, oven is also mine. So I'm using my own resources, I can use these resources according to my requirement. I can use more toppings. I can use the sauces which I like. I can set the temperature of the oven according to my requirement. So it is my responsibility and I am having the complete control over the resources. So it is known as on-premises. Now, if I talk about infrastructure as service, so suppose I'm going to Domino's and I'm asking Domino's people that please let me use your kitchen and utensils. So I need to use your infrastructure, but I will be bringing my own runtime, means my own platform. So I will be using my own oven. Yes, Sridhar? I will be using my own oven, my own toppings, own dough, right? So now I am utilizing the infrastructure of the pizza outlet from Domino's. Sridhar, I'm coming back to you, just 2 minutes. So I am utilizing the utensils and kitchen, I'm utilizing the infrastructure of the company, but I am taking all these things from my side. So oven is mine, toppings are mine, dough is mine, sauces are mine, right? So I have the control over this part. So I have the control. So customer is having more control on this part, because I can now use whatever toppings I like, the sauces that I like, right? The amount of toppings I can increase and decrease according to my requirement. So now I have the control over this part, but I don't have the control over kitchen and utensils, because I am taking the kitchen and utensils on rent from the company. So I don't have control over this part. Domino's has control over this part. So this is known as infrastructure as service. I am using the infrastructure, but I am bringing my stuff. Now I have the control over my stuff, but not on the infra part, because it belongs to the company. Is this clear? Sridhar, can I get your question? If no question, then I'm proceeding forward. Now, in the second case, I'm asking for the kitchen from Domino's, that please provide me your kitchen, utensils, and I want to have the runtime as well, the platform as well. So I'm using their own oven. So now these things, the infra and the platform, now this is provided to me by the company. I don't have the control over this part. I will be using the oven as per their direction. I cannot use the oven according to my requirement. No, I will be using the oven as per the direction of the Domino's. Now I am bringing my own toppings. So data and application is mine, my own dough and sauces. So now Data and application belongs to me. I have the control over this part only. So this is having, customer is having control over this part. The stuff that I am bringing, I have the control over those resources. But the resources that I'm taking from the company, I don't have control over this. I have to use these resources as per the company's direction. And the third part, I'm not baking my own pizza. I am getting the pizza baked by the company itself. So Domino's are now using their own kitchen, their own utensils, their own oven. Then they are using their own dough, their own sauces. They are using their own topping, but yes, customers can select the toppings, right? Customer can select the toppings. So everything is managed by the company. So Domino's is preparing all these things using their own infrastructure and platform. So now the company has the complete control. I'm just using this pizza. I'm just eating it. I'm just consuming it. So I don't have any, you can say, share in making the pizza. Everything is done by the company. I'm just utilizing that end product. So this is software as a service, and this is platform as a service. So when I go from on-premises to software as service, customer control decreases. Customer control decreases. And if you want to have more control over the cloud resources, so this is your own data center. But if you want to have more control over the cloud resources, you want to manage your resources yourself as a customer, then you have to use infrastructure as service, because here customer control increases. In the on-premises, AWS is nothing coming, AWS is not in the picture, right? So I told you that this is my own kitchen. I'm working at my own home. So there is nothing related to Domino's, right? I'm not contacting Domino's team. I am preparing my own pizza. I'm baking my own pizza. So this is my on-premises data center. This is not cloud. So I told you cloud resources. I'm using cloud resources from the cloud service provider, from infrastructure, platform, and software service. AWS has nothing to do with my own data center. I am the owner of my data center. So this is my private cloud, my on-premises data center. So AWS has nothing to do with this. From infrastructure, platform, and software, we are using cloud services from cloud service provider. So here we have these three things. I hope now the yes, Sridhar, physical servers are there in cloud resources as well, but the physical servers are managed by the company. We as the customer are getting everything in the form of software. So physical servers are both, but here physical servers are belonging to us. So I am the owner, so I have to purchase this physical server. But here the physical servers are also there. But physical server, the infrastructure belongs to AWS. So these are the physical servers only. This is the infrastructure. So now it belongs to AWS. And we are using the software part of that. The software-based resources we are using. Is infrastructure, platform, and software service clear to everyone with the help of this simple example? Any problem to anyone in this? Now, which service of AWS is providing you infrastructure as service? EC2. EC2 is providing you virtual machines. If I'm not talking about AWS, then if you're using VMware, then it is also providing you the infrastructure, the virtual machines. Platform as service, we have a service which is known as Elastic Beanstalk. So this Elastic Beanstalk is providing you the platform to develop your web application and deploy your web application in cloud directly. So it is giving you the IDE, the underlying host, underlying server. You need to write your code and provide your data. So Elastic Beanstalk is a service which you can use to develop your web application easily. Heroku that you're using, it was platform as a service. Then software as a service, where you are not doing anything, you are just using that resource. So Amazon Chime. So it is like the WhatsApp, the communication channel. You can send messages, you can make video call, audio call. So it is like the WhatsApp, the communication channel of Amazon. It is known as Amazon Chime. You have other services such as recognition, machine learning services. You have SageMaker, where you are using the existing resources, but you are not doing anything regarding the development of the application. So application is developed by the company. You are using that application. Like Gmail, right? Like Google Doc. So Google Doc, you are using that. So you cannot say that I want to change the font size. So here, if I'm using the Zoom, right, it is also software service because I cannot make changes in it. Whatever options are available to me, I am using only those options. I cannot make changes in the option. I cannot customize it. So this is about cloud service models, infrastructure, platform, and software. Remember, in infrastructure, customer is having maximum control, and software, customer is having least control. I hope this part is very much clear to everyone. And now you can relate with this slide. If you remember the example of that pizza, then you can relate to this slide. Shall I move forward to the next topic? Any query, any doubt anyone is having? Now let us move on to the next part of my first topic, which is AWS Global Infrastructure. So AWS Global Infrastructure. That is the second topic for the day. This is the second module of first topic. Now, what do you mean by global infrastructure? Koteshwar Rao, on-premises data center. If you want to do the virtualization, then it is known as your own cloud. But if you are taking the services from any cloud service provider, then on-premises data center is not coming in under that. So we call that on-premises data center as your own cloud, as your private cloud. If you want to use the virtual resources, then it is your responsibility. No one will be providing you the virtual resources. I hope now this is clear. So AWS Global Infrastructure. I want to ask you a simple question. Suppose I have an idea of starting a cafe, right? I have a business idea that I want to start a cafe, or I want to open a restaurant. So this is my business idea. Now, what is the next thing that I will be doing here? So what step I will be taking to realize my idea and to implement it? What is the next step? I have the idea how I will proceed further to implement my idea. What you will be doing if you have an idea of starting a cafe or a restaurant, what step you will be taking? Yes, Praveen, absolutely correct. I will be selecting a location or area where I can open my cafe, where I can purchase land and I can have the infrastructure or the building of my cafe. So the first thing is to set the location or to select the area. How I am selecting the location or the area? We have various factors. So I will be taking care of what is the population, demographic population of that location. So will I be getting more crowd? Will I be getting more customers in that from that area? Then is the income of the people of that area is enough, is sufficient to afford the prices which I am going to offer? So we have various factors. On the basis of these factors, I'm selecting the location. Similarly, when AWS, the company, it is the cloud service provider. So when the cloud service provider wants to establish its business, wants to provide its cloud services, so they are doing with the help of the data centers. So AWS wants to establish its business, wants to provide cloud services, then this company has to establish its own data centers. Now to establish the data center, location needs to be selected. That in which location AWS should start its data centers and how these physical locations are connected to each other. How AWS is providing the fault tolerant architecture. This is all coming under global infrastructure. Is this clear? This is coming under global infrastructure. I hope this is clear to everyone. Because why global? AWS is establishing its data center worldwide. That is why global. And since data center contains hardware resources, it is infrastructure, and infrastructure is used to provide the cloud services. Yes, Aditya. So in global infrastructure, we will be talking about three things. First of all, the first thing is region, because these physical locations which AWS is selecting, these locations are nothing but the region. These geographic locations are nothing but a region. So let us talk about region. Then we will be talking about availability zone. Then we will be talking about data centers and servers. So first, let me talk about these three components of the global infrastructure. Then I'll be talking about point of presence. So what is region? So region is the physical location which AWS is selecting to run its data centers. So this physical location is known as region. Now in this physical region, in this physical location, how we are utilizing it, where I will be setting up my building, right? Where I'll be setting up the parking area. So how I'm utilizing this location, that is the point of concern. So you can think that a region is your house. What is house? It is your physical location along with the building, along with the infrastructure. So your region, you can think that it is analogous to your house. Now, house has multiple rooms. Similarly, region is also having multiple sublocations. And these sublocations are known as availability zones. So as house has multiple rooms, similarly, a physical region is divided into multiple sublocations. And these sublocations are known as availability zone. In short, we call these as AZ. So this is room 1, AZ1, this is AZ2, and this is AZ3. And this is analogous to rooms. And these are nothing but the area, physical location only. Now inside your room, you have cupboard, table, chair, sofa, bed, where you can make yourself comfortable or where you can keep your stuff. Similarly, in availability zone, you have all these facility. You have what? You have data centers. So where the data centers are running in these sublocations, in these availability zone. So you can think that your cupboard is your data center. And inside your data center, what is there? You are keeping your stuff. You have inside the cupboard, you have shelves. So here and in the shelf, you are keeping your stuff. You are keeping your things, storing your things. Similarly, inside the data center, you have what? You have multiple servers. And servers are normal in normal language, in layman language, I can say that servers are the computers holding some resources. So if you are storing your data, if you are uploading your data online, then the data is getting stored in one of the servers running inside the data center. So data center is a facility, it is a room where you are having a lot of hardware resources. So you have a lot of racks in which the black color boxes with green LEDs are actually operational. And if I talk about AWS services, so these services are running on these servers. So these are the servers. If you want to host your web application, a website, then you are hosting your website here. If you want to host your gaming application, then your game application is hosted on one of the servers. If you want to store some data, then it is getting stored on these one of the servers in the storage drive of one of the servers. If you want to run a database application where you are storing a database on one of the servers. So these servers are used to run your applications. These servers are actually providing you cloud services. But these are hardware form. These are the hardware resources, and we are, as the customer, we are getting these things in the form of software. We are using virtual resources. So hardware part is managed by AWS. So what is the relationship? That region is having multiple rooms, multiple availability zone. What is there inside availability zone? Multiple data centers. What is there inside a data center? Lot of servers, thousands of servers, from 50 to 80,000 servers, more than that. Now, a quick question. Why we are using multiple rooms? Why we are using multiple availability zones? What is the use of these availability zones? Any idea? To serve the customer worldwide, so we can use different regions. Suppose this is Mumbai region, I can use North Virginia region, I can use Sydney region, I can use London region. So I am serving the people worldwide through regions. AWS is establishing multiple data centers in different regions to serve global customers. Why availability zones? So I got the answer, disaster management, from Mayuri. Yes, absolutely correct, Nathan. That if one location it gets crashed, I can still access my data from other locations. So let me explain you with the help of a simple example. So suppose this is your mobile device, this is your laptop, and this is your, suppose you are using online storage as well. So you are clicking pictures in your mobile device, right? And these images are stored here. But you don't rely on your mobile device solely. What you do, you take the backup of these images. So you are storing your images in different location, at different location, means you are storing your images, you are saving your images on laptop, and you are taking the online backup as well. So now you are storing what? You are storing your images redundantly. So data is copied, same data is copied to different location. So this is known as redundant storage. This is known as redundant storage. And why you are using this redundant storage? Because if something wrong happens with your mobile phone, if this location gets crashed, you can still recover your images or access your images from other locations. So you are doing what? You are recovering your images in case of disaster. So this is disaster recovery. It is making your architecture fault tolerant. That fault is there, but still you can access your data, you can access your services from different location. So fault tolerant. And these availability zones are working in isolation, means problem in one is not affecting other locations. It is like region is a bank and AWS. So you have many customers in a single bank, but if transaction in one customer account is taking place, it is not affecting the transactions of the other customer account. So all the bank accounts are working in isolation. Similarly, all the availability zones are working in isolation. And how the data is copied redundantly to different location? Why? Because these locations are connected to each other with a very high speed, ultra low latency network. So these are connected to each other. And because of fault isolation, the distance between two availability zone is 100 kilometers. So these availabilities, though these locations are set 100 kilometers apart, but these are connected to each other via a very high speed, ultra low latency network, so that you can easily copy your data to different location. So it is, in case of failure as well, it is making your data available to you, making your resource available to you. That is why the name availability zone. I hope this is clear to everyone. What is region, what is availability zone, what is data center and server. Any problem? Yes, Praveen, I will be telling you about the factors of selecting region. So regulation is coming on one of the factors. Praveen, this distance is actually said, you can say set by the AWS, by the Amazon. Maybe they are actually want to be sure that what is the minimum distance, that so that we can keep these locations isolated with each other. That problem at one is will not affect the problem at other. So this is their tested distance. Maybe they have experimented on various distances and this is the tested and the safest distance. That is why they are using it. In India, we have two regions, Mumbai and Hyderabad. Can anyone tell me how many regions are active? AWS has set up its data centers in how many regions worldwide? So as per my knowledge, 32 data center, 32 regions are active in different locations: Sydney, London, Ohio, Oregon, North Virginia, Cape Town. Then you have Mumbai, Hyderabad, Singapore. So as per my knowledge, it is 32 region. Sridhar, the data is replicated to multiple availability zones automatically. So this is the responsibility of AWS, because who is managing this infrastructure? Who is managing the hardware? It is AWS. So you have a lot of services which are providing automatic replication of the data to multiple AZ within a region. So if you want to replicate your data within availability zone, it is done by AWS. But if you want to replicate your data to different region, that your data is in Mumbai region and you want to replicate it to North Virginia region, then the replication of data into different region, it is the responsibility of the customer. Customer has to initiate it. But the replication of data to multiple availability zones, it is the responsibility of AWS. And many regions are yet to come, yet to launch. Now, we talked about 4 topics of our infrastructure, 4 components of our global infrastructure. Now the next 2 components, these are collectively known as points of presence. And we have 2 components here, edge locations and regional edge caching. Edge location and regional edge cache. So what are these? So let me take a very simple example. So let me take the example of Netflix. So Netflix is providing video content. It is streaming video content and providing the content to millions of users worldwide. So it is a global service. It is providing the services to global users. Now suppose the video is stored at this location and we have a lot of customers worldwide. So we have customer 1, customer 2, customer 3, customer 4, and we have millions of customers from different location around the world. And now these are doing what? These are sending the request to access this video to this original location. I see 2 problems in this architecture. Can anyone let me know what are the 2 problems here? I have 2 problems in this architecture. So what are these 2 problems? Yes, Ravan, absolutely correct. And Ledwin and others are Nathan, Praveen. Yes, load and latency. These are the 2 problems, load and latency. So you can see the distance of customer, different customer is different, right? From the source. So because of the different distance, uneven distance, so this customer will have to wait for more time as compared to this customer. Why? Sending the request and getting the response. So this waiting period is known as your latency. So you are placing the order in a restaurant and till the time when your dish is served, so that waiting period is known as your latency. So this customer is facing more latency, more waiting time because the request has to travel more distance as compared to this customer. Moreover, the load on this single server is more because a lot of requests are coming to a single location, to a single resource. So this will overwhelm this server. So overwhelming of this resource will be there because a lot of requests are accepted or received by this server, by this resource. So overwhelming of the resource will be there and this will deteriorate the performance of my server on which this video's content is stored. So now how to remove this problem? So what we are doing, we are asking our customers not to send the request to the main server because of this loading problem, right? We are saying that please don't send your request to this central server. What we are doing, we will give you a copy of this resource of this video near to you. So now AWS has selected a location, a data center near to the customers. And in these locations, AWS is caching this content. The frequently asked content is cached here. So the video is copied in all the locations which are closer to all customers. Now, the customers are not sending the request. The customers are not sending the request to the main server. Instead, customers are sending the request and getting the response from the location near to them. Now, since the new location is closer to the customer, so the latency problem is resolved. And there will be a uniform experience for all the users. Moreover, now the lot of request is not reaching to the main server to a single resource. The request of different customers are going to different location closer to them. So we have distributed the load to different edge locations, to different locations. So what we are doing here in these locations, we are caching the frequently asked content. And these locations are closer to the user. So we call these locations as the edge location. So edge locations are used to cache the frequently asked content and providing the content closer to the user. So a service which is known as CloudFront. CloudFront is distributing the content, delivering the content to global user. It is a content delivery network, CDN. It is a content delivery network. And CloudFront is distributing the content to global user using edge locations to reduce the latency and to offload my main server. Clear to everyone? Is the second case better? Are the customers getting the content at a faster speed as compared to the previous case? Next, we have another cache. So we are using the tier of cache. So we are using tiered cache. So the frequently asked content, frequently accessed content is cached to edge locations. And infrequently accessed content is stored in a second level of, in the second tier of cache, which is known as regional edge cache. So to speed up the delivery process, to deliver the resource closer, faster to the customer, to reduce the latency, we are using two types of cache. So edge locations are used to cache frequently accessed content, and infrequently accessed content, we are still storing this in cache, and these are known as regional edge cache. And collectively, these two are known as points of presence. So there are more than 550 plus points of presence globally. So a lot of locations present globally, and it is these locations, these points of presence are used to deliver the content closer to the customer to reduce the latency. I hope this part is clear to everyone. And these edge locations, they are not present in the region. They are present closer to the user, closer to the customers. So this map, you can see here that these blue color and purple color dots, these are your edge location, and these orange circles, these are your regional edge cache. Yes, Praveen, edge location is nothing but a data center closer to the user. So I talked about region. I talked about availability zones. So availability zone contains multiple data centers. Then I talked about edge location and regional edge caching. Yes, Koteshwar, any problem? Now, how to select a region? So there are a lot of regions provided by AWS: Mumbai region, Singapore region, London region, Paris region, then Ohio, Oregon, North Virginia, Sydney. So a lot of regions are provided to me by AWS. How to select these regions? What is the criteria to select these regions? Suppose, yes, Nathan, location of the customer. So first thing we have seen that the data should be provided or the services should be provided closer to the user, right? So the first factor is data governance and regulation, which Praveen was talking about. Suppose we have two regions, London region and North Virginia region. And the UK government, they wants to save their data on cloud, but that data belongs to the government of UK. So there is a condition, there is the data regulation that the data should not leave the territorial boundary of London. So which region you will be selecting? So data should not leave the territorial boundary of London. So can you can you save your data in North Virginia? So you will be selecting London region because you have the data governance and regulation factor. That according to the factor, you will be selecting London, not North Virginia. So this is one of the factor that how to select a region from multiple choices, from different choices that we are getting. So this is the first criteria, that if we have some regulation on data, that data should reside in this particular region, we have to choose that particular region only. Second factor is latency. Suppose I have a website with Hindi content. And I have three regions: Mumbai region, London region, and North Virginia region. So from which region I'll be getting more customers for my website? And the website is in Hindi. So from which region I will be getting more customers? From Mumbai region. So what I'll be doing, I'll be hosting my website in this region so that the resource will be closer to the customer, closer to the users. So user will actually will experience low latency. So when you are bringing the resource closer to the user, you are reducing the latency. So you are not selecting London, you are not selecting North Virginia, because you know that for this type of content, you will be getting maximum customers from this region only. So this is second criteria, selection criteria. So last two criteria I'll be explaining tomorrow. So what we have talked about in this session, I talked about cloud service model, infrastructure as service, platform as a service, and software as a service. Remember the example of this pizza baking. And I have mentioned various services as well, which are coming under each service model. Then I talked about a global infrastructure. What is region? What is availability zone, data center and servers? Why we are using availability zones? Then I talked about edge locations and regional edge cache. I gave the example of Netflix and introduced a service which is known as CloudFront. Then regional edge cache, factors selecting a region, data governance and regulation and latency. Two other factors are left that we will be discussing tomorrow. I hope you like the session. Any problem to anyone? Any query? So let us wind up my session here only. Thank you all for attending. See you all tomorrow. Have a good day. Yes, these are demo classes. And first 5 classes are free. This is the second class. And the 6th session will be for the paid or registered candidates only. Please do join the WhatsApp group of Logic Tech Labs. So bye everyone. Have a good day ahead. No, Sridhar, I won't be covering these topics again. You will get recordings.